Alright, welcome back to another Art of War 3 replay. I'm your host, JEONG SINAH, and today we're going to be doing a clan versus clan 2v2 battle. I'm going to be the green Confederate player, and my ally, Tapenyaki, is going to be the blue Confederate player. So let's go ahead and get into this. We're going to be facing off against two resistance players from the Deutsche Adler clan. One of them is a rank 19 player with a 80% win rate, so we're anticipating an interesting matchup for this battle. We can see some early game action unfolding on the battlefield as I try to fight for this large container here. It looks like I'm going to have to retreat though. Meanwhile, we can see on Tapenyaki's end, he's got a couple fortresses in the mix there, putting some early damage onto that sniper tower. It looks like Red's building part of their base onto the top of the plateau. I try to move some ground troops in to recapture the container, but Yellow was way too fast with capturing those containers. Tapenyaki's going to go ahead and move his two fortresses into the base of the Red player. We can see Red is still HQ2 at this time and is still just putting down infrastructure. So from what we've gathered so far, Red seems to be the slower of the two resistance players. So my plan for this battle is I'm going to go for a full ground army build. And look at this. Yellow is HQ4 already. This is incredibly fast. We are only at the 6-minute mark or so, and Yellow's already got a fully established base. So we can tell that Yellow's going to be a very strong opponent for us to face off against. Back to what I was saying before. I'm going for a ground build on this map while Tapenyaki goes for the air build. Tapenyaki's got some vertex out already. He's going to take care of that Cayman right there. And it looks like I've got a fortress fighting it out with the dragonfly, but that fortress is going to get cleaned up. Starting to put out some typhoons as well, just so I have a little bit of anti-air as needed. We can see the vertex now coming in for Tapenyaki. Some early aggression from Tapenyaki. He's going to be able to take out an anti-air tower, and it's going to start to take out the porcupines as well. Looks like these porcupines are nowhere near strong enough to take out Tapenyaki's maxed out vertex, and so the vertex are going to be able to dish out some good damage against the Red player and delay the overall development. And we're going to be able to clean up another anti-air tower there though, and another anti-air tower. So looks like this was a very good trade-off for Tapenyaki overall. Nicely done. So I'm teching up to HQ4, and it looks like Yellow's got a dragonfly on the top of the cliff. I flagged the dragonfly. Tapenyaki's is going to go ahead and clean up that dragonfly. Very nicely done. So now I can move my cyclone over. I'm going to try to see if I can get a scout onto Yellow. Let's see what Yellow's up to. We don't get a clean scout with that one, but we know that Yellow knows this map pretty well and has been putting dragonflies up for scouting, so it's something we need to watch out for. So Tapenyaki is teching up again, and it looks like he's got some torpedo platforms down for defense just in case. Looks like a hero factory is coming out, so we might see some heroes on the battlefield here. Let's see how that pans out in a little bit. We can see now Vertex coming in again from Tapenyaki, just continuing to clean up those early game units and scouts around the battlefield. Vertex come back in, they're going to snipe that dragonfly. Very nicely done. We can see there's a couple porcupines on the ground there, possibly for some map control for the Yellow player. I'm just continuing to build my ground army at this point. I've got the infrastructure I need. We can see this dragonfly is harassing my cyclone. It's going to get cleaned up though by the Vertex. Yellow's doing a good job trying to keep those scouts going to maintain visual on the battlefield. And Tapenyaki is continuing to deny very nicely. Here comes a ground army though from the Yellow player. And we can see Yellow is moving a JCP contingent across the battlefield. This is the first major attack of the game. Let's see how it plays out. I've got a bunker and a rocket tower on the top of the cliff here to get me some visual. And because I've got the advanced scouting, I have enough time to move my ground army to counter. Let's see how this plays out. We're going to throw on a gold common defense boost. I've got hammers, fire assault, a bunker, and the rocket tower versus this JCP army. And we're going to be able to push back this JCP army pretty nicely. Thor's coming in for Tapenyaki. He's going to score a couple hits on the fog there. So my hammers are able to push back the Yellow player. Yellow knows that they do not have the firepower to punch through. And so this is going to be a successful defense. So another dragonfly gets cleaned up there. Right now I'm just kind of spreading cyclones around the map just so we can get some maintained visual around this battlefield, which is especially important on this map. JCP Fog's now moving again. Let's see where Yellow's headed. Looks like Yellow is going to try to bypass my base and is going to see if they can go for Tapenyaki. So now I'm going to move my hammer tanks and infantry to go ahead and counter. Looks like Yellow is going to steer over towards the container though. Thor's coming in. They're going to score a direct hit onto the JCP army. Nicely done. And it looks like Red's now moving out. Red's got their own contingent of armor and vehicles and infantry moving onto the container. So it looks like they're just trying to secure the container here. Let's see how this plays out. Red is now moving their army to the top of the map while Yellow maintains control of that center area there with the resource containers. And we might see a two-pronged assault here. So I got my ground army at the front entrance here for Tapenyaki, so I'm going to help defend Tapenyaki here. Here comes the attack. Let's see how it plays out. I got a shield generator in the mix now and a large army of hammer tanks and infantry. Yellow is going to retreat though. They do not have the firepower to punch through. Here comes Red though. Red's attacking the top side of Tapenyaki's base. Tapenyaki scores a huge hit with the Thors. The Thors do a ton of damage onto that army, and that army is getting repelled pretty successfully overall. Vertex coming in for Tapenyaki. Meanwhile, I'm moving my ground army in onto the Yellow player. Hammers and fire assaults and a couple of shield generators. Looks like that Jaguar army gets shredded by my army. I've got a full HQ4 army headed straight for the Red player. Red is in trouble. Red's only got a handful of units at the front of the base. Looks like he's got Grenadiers, Jaguar tanks, and Porcupines. And it looks like Tapenyaki is going to produce a Solaris tank to bring onto the battlefield. But here comes my full hammer, fire assault, shield army moving on to the Red player. Let's see how this plays out. Red's in trouble. There's a lot of fog in the base, but I don't think Red has enough units produced for offensive capabilities. So Red's starting to lose some structures here. He hasn't lost too much infrastructure quite yet. But again, there's no units at the top of the base here to defend, so I'm starting to get some free hits, just starting to pick off some infrastructure here and just dish out some damage. So hammer tanks now moving in onto the top. We'll be able to take care of these supply centers here and the sniper tower, so this is going to be nice for getting some visual control on the top of the cliff. So I've moved my hammers away from the top of the entrance there, and I'm going to wait to produce more units. Here's the Solaris ready to go. Thors are now coming in from Tapenyaki. Let's see where they hit. They're going to score a direct hit on the level 3 special vehicle factory. No more chameleons for the Red player. Red is desperately trying to defend, and Yellow is trying to reinforce as well. We see some fog in the mix. I'm just doing harassment with my hammer tanks at the top of the map there. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and move my hammers and fire assaults through the bottom. You can see that Yellow is trying to reinforce as a small chameleon Jaguar army at the bottom there. So now I'm doing a two-pronged assault. Let's see how this pans out. Red is in the midst of trying to rebuild their base using a reconstruction boost, but I don't think that's going to pan out well. My army is now moving in again onto the Red player. I've got hammers in the base with the fire assaults. And look at this, the Solaris tank has arrived and is single-shotting these buildings. Tapenyaki has a tier 4 Solaris tank, and it's got some pretty good upgrades on it, so we can see that it's dishing out some nice damage against this resistance player. And this Red player is struggling to get any kind of defense together. They have practically no units left. They're trying to build barracks to get some units out, and the Solaris tank is just dishing out massive amounts of damage. Meanwhile, my hammer tanks and shield at the front, we can see the Solaris tank there just used its active ability. I'm going to go ahead and pull back my hammer tanks and the shield generator. I've run out of steam on my assault and I just need to regroup for a little bit. I'm going to let Tapenyaki just dish out damage around this Red player's base as well while I regroup. We can see that Solaris is dishing out some good damage against this infrastructure and is going to go ahead and slowly retreat while also dishing out damage. We can see the passive chain lightning there dishing out some damage against the fog. And we can tell that this fog group here, this JCP army, is not going to be enough. We can see there's only one chameleon, one porcupine, and one jaguar. And that is just not going to cut it. We can see just how much damage that Solaris is doing to those tanks. And those tanks have been taken out, and now Tapenyaki is just scoring free hits onto that headquarters. Another chain lightning occurs, so We got some infantry and Jaguar tanks trying to move in on the Solaris, but Solaris is able to outrange and outspeed these units that are trying to counter. So Solaris just continuing to harass this red player, not giving them a chance to rebuild. Grenadiers trying to dish out damage. Here comes my Hammer, Fire Assault, and Shield Army once again moving on to the red player. And we can see that there's a Chameleon Army at the front, but I'm just going to smash the front of this red player's base. Meanwhile, Solaris is at the top of the base, and we've essentially sandwiched this red player. We can see that red is pretty much out of production structures at this point, and it's pretty much a 1v2 at this point. So Hammer tanks continue to clean up red, and pretty much at this point, it is good game. You can see I'm just using some boosts to fulfill a contract. Hope you all enjoyed this battle. We'll see you in the next one.
Victory.